Welcome back to IdleTalk. Today, we're going to keep this very short, very sweet, actually, because I want to grab your attention. I want to hold it, and then I want to give it back, okay? Because this is, again, I told you, this is the actual episode 50, okay? Technically, it'll be like 53 or 54, but this is actually episode 50, and this is part of mine, kind of like, I want to, maybe like a two-parter, right? The second part is going to be composed of you guys, the people who submit voice memos to this email, idletalkpod@gmail.com, specifically the men who feel some type of way, right? You feel like maybe society doesn't care for you, or society doesn't give a shit about how you feel and how you react to things. No one really wants to hear what you got to say. So I'm giving you the chance to freely express yourself. A lot of the submissions kind of have that AA kind of vibe. We're like, hi, my name is Fernando. And then they go on and tell me about their story, right? Feel free to keep sending it that way. But if you don't want people to know who you are, even if it's just your first name, bleep it out. And even if you want me to take an extra precaution into modifying your voice in any kind of way, again, let me know in that email. Kind of give me like a little paragraph of what to expect in that voice memo, because a lot of them I sat through and I listened to, and I kind of wish I didn't. Listen to them so I could have my genuine reactions to them for the next episode, which I'm taking my time with this, guys. This isn't going to be something I'm going to do next week. Next week is probably going to be something random and fun to kind of ease the tension off of what I'm going to say in this episode. But again, anonymously or not, please share your stories. And I kind of want to start building that little community that kind of a lot of people that have sent me voice memos kind of are craving in their life. But let's get into it. Let me just start off with a little joke, a little funny little situation that happened this weekend. I was calling my friend Malik. He lives downstairs, and I was like, we were just talking about house stuff, right? Things that happened during at the house or whatever, and we were just going over stuff that we needed to go over. And I was like, oh, I'm in the kitchen. He's like, oh, I can hear you. I was like, word? And I was like, what am I doing now? And I took like 9 steps. He's like, yo, you just took 9 steps. I was like, oh, crazy. Crazy to me, at least. So I was in the kitchen, and I was just making an egg and hot dog sandwich, right? And I say sandwich, but it was really like a sub, because we had these like little like 6-inch subs that we bought from the store. So I had a little sub thing going on, and he's like, damn. He's like, yeah, I'm actually hungry too. I'm like, oh, that sucks. I'm making him a sandwich. But he was like, I'm gonna be up in a little bit. I'm gonna make a sandwich. I was like, all right, perfect. So I go make my sandwich, I eat it, and then he comes up and he does his thing. He's making his sandwich, right? They're not the same sandwiches, okay? First of all, he toasts his bread. I didn't toast my bread. I was just taking that L. I was like, I'm not going to toast this. It's just no reason to. I wanted a quick thing, and I cooked my hot dogs. I'm not going to lie. I cooked it the concession stand way, and the people who work at concession stands know what I'm talking about. But let me give you a little hack. I think I've mentioned it before about my time at the Ripken Experience in Myrtle Beach, but they used to cook hot dogs if it was a huge rush. You know how they would like kind of cook them in water, and then they would just sit there, you know, when there's not a rush, and you just give your hot dog and boom. But if there's a rush, you would throw some glizzies in the microwave, depending on how much you put in there, 30 seconds to a minute, right? 30 seconds if you got 1 or 2 in there, and a minute for like more. So I did that. I did it that way. I was down bad with time, and I just wanted to eat something. But I made it with eggs. You know, I put my cheese on it, 2 different kinds of American cheeses. I did not toast them though. That's the key difference between me and my friend's sandwich. So you toast it in the toaster, but they're 6-inch sub sandwiches, so you can't really toast them in the toaster. So what he did, because he travels apparently, really though, so he put them on top, and they will burn it. And I was like, damn, those chances getting smoky. And he's like, yeah, he always burns the bread that way when he makes it when he tries to toast his sandwiches. So it's whatever. So we're sitting there talking, and then he's putting his sandwich together. They're just like hot dogs, but they're not hot dogs. They're Vienna sausages, and they're coated in this red like sauce. And I was like, bro, what is that? And he's like, this Vienna sausage and ketchup. But not only did he add the ketchup, but he cooked the ketchup. He put it in the same pan that they were done frying in. And I was like, no way you just made this sandwich. So if you're seeing this clip, I'm going to post the video I sent my friend Jalen. I was like, what is this? And she was like, nah, what is he going through right now? So this is my PSA to the guys. Again, check out your strong friends, please, because you never know what they're going through. And that was a pretty funny event yesterday, besides the topic we actually were talking about, me and him over the phone. But let's jump right into it. I'm going to share one of my experiences with you, because you guys have been so graciously sharing your experiences with me. So I'm going to, before that I release those things into an episode that people can consume, I'm going to release my things to you in an episode you can consume. So let's talk about my last relationship. Yes, it's something that I think me and Joanne have treaded the waters previously in an episode, but I wasn't ready to talk about it. I necessarily did not want to talk about it, right? It's one of those things that, like, it happened, it's over, move on. I don't like to kind of pretty much talk about certain negative things that may have occurred. Not because it hurt me in that way, but it's because I just don't want to kind of have people formulate opinions about people that were or are not in my life. So that's the reason why I don't share it. But again, the people that know are going to know what I'm talking about. The people that don't, well, you have to figure that out. I fast with my friend Usman for Ramadan. I think I've mentioned that in the past before, but I fasted with him because the boys thought it was cool. Not the boys, me. I suggested we do it, but we did it about like 4, maybe 5 years ago, where we fasted with him. I've kind of kept the tradition ever since. I always ask him, like, yo, when's Ramadan? Because you know your boy's gonna pull up and not eat for the day. Like, what's up? So I always go and I do that. So in the process of me fasting with him, I did not do the religious things that come with Ramadan and stuff like that, because obviously I am not Muslim. But I do ask him questions because I feel safe to ask him questions about his religion and not feel like an absolute dick fuck. Okay? So I asked him questions. And then he, one time, I don't know how we ended up talking about this, but he told me that in his culture, again, if this is wrong, I don't know, because that's what he told me. But again, I believe him. He's my friend. Why would he lie to me? But that when someone dies, they take 3 days to just mourn them and remember them. But then after the 3rd day, it's like, okay, time goes on, we go on, we're gonna die. They died, but we can't ultimately let this affect our life. So I took that approach, the 3 days, right, and applied it to my breakup. and as kind of like, I think that helped me the most, I think, because in those 3 days, I tried my best, right? There's always this notion on the internet that women, when they break up with you, they have already checked out and they've been checked out for months. Or an X amount of time, right? Whatever. Let's not quantify it as months. But they've been checked out, and so when they break up, they're like, all right, I'm done with this. We're finished. And then to the men, to the male, it always is like a surprise. And you're like, wait, hold up. Time out. Pause this real quick. Let's try to fix it. But at that point, there's no point of fixing it, right? So in those 3 days, I tried. Day 1, it happened. Relationship ended. Day 2, woke up. I was like, fuck that. I'm going to show this person that I'm not like everybody else that just gave up on the thing that they had, right? And I think for me, the big differentiator was that they wanted to be friends. And I was like, hey, no way I'm going to be friends with someone that's fucking met my mom. Like, first of all, I don't really do that. I don't really introduce people to my mom. It's always been something that I've introduced a friend or a good friend to my parents. Anybody that's met my mom will ultimately continue to know my mom because that's how much of that connection is there. So if you haven't met my mom, that's on you. If we're good friends, but they've met my mom, and I was like, "There's no way. You're not gonna still be my friend, okay? Like that's it. Like we've seen each other's private parts. We've done X, Y, Z. There's no way you're gonna continue to be my friend and still have like that kind of access to me personally. So that happens, and day 2 is like I'm trying to like win them back, quote unquote, but just kind of just show them that I still give a fuck about them, that I don't want to necessarily make them feel like I hate them absolutely. So that was day 2, and then day 3 was just me kind of coming to terms with it. I think that's like a whatever step process normally, but I did it in 3 days. Not necessarily, I don't think that's the best way to do it, but I kind of wanted to try that approach to see, okay, let's just try. Let's just try to do this approach this way. So day 3, I came to terms with it. We shared a lot of things together. So I did something that I didn't think I was going to do, and I deleted a bunch of those things. Like photos, files, or whatever we may say. I kept some important shit I think I kept it for a year. I was like, I'm gonna keep that just in case you might need it because it is an important document or whatever. but at the end of the day, after a certain amount of time, just deleting it, and you had enough time to try to find that. I did that, right? But those 3 days, I did all that. I did not feel alone in any retrospect going through that process. A, I didn't tell many people about it. B, the people I did tell, my support group, my male support group that I have, my absolute best friends that I have, were there for me in ways that I probably don't think they knew they were there for me. Because let me break it down for you. And so this is why I think it's important to kind of have that male structure in your life and not be overly ashamed of sharing your vulnerability with other males, and hopefully in ways because you think it's going to make you feel any less of a man or make you feel inferior. But in the opposite, it takes true strength to kind of share that with your pack, your guy pack. I went to Micro Center so many times. I did not need to go that many times. But after my breakup, I would go almost like 3 times a week with my friend Christian. I'm like, hey, you want to fuck around at Micro Center? He's like, yeah, let's go. And we would go, we would hang out. I don't think it was, I'm not going to try to discredit Christian, but I'm just going to say I think he was just generally happy to go to Micro Center and hang out for a little bit. I don't think he was doing, because Fernando just got broken up with, their relationship's over, let me go try to distract him. I don't think it came off that way. I don't think he was doing that way. But we hung out at Micro Center often. And, I would buy things here and there. I would see what's up. I would try to see, like, okay, what's the graphic cards market looking like? It went to shit after that. But I blame that relationship for fucking tanking the graphics card market. So if you're looking for somebody to blame, you can blame. All right. I cut that out. Yeah. And that's when the podcast was coming into fruition. We were practicing talking to each other on the microphones. And it was to a point where me and Joanne used to just only talk when we were sitting together in his room recording the podcast. We would not talk afterwards or before. Like, we were just trying to like, oh, shut up. Like, we got to save it for the podcast. So we recorded some episodes. And then afterwards we would sit there and edit him that way because I had time to stay over and edit with him. But like we would eat, we would talk, we would discuss, like we would talk about like deep shit, weird shit, all at the same time, right? And again, it was the amount of episodes we recorded versus the amount that we put out was actually, it was a good ratio. So let's say we record every 10 episodes, we drop 3. Like 3 out of 10 may not sound like a lot, but to me it was like we really put out content that was consistent and that I felt comfortable putting out because I was such in a raw, vulnerable state. So him just sitting down and recording the amount of podcasts that we did with me, I'll be forever grateful for that because I think he actually was like trying to kind of keep me distracted with so many different topics, even if he was thinking it consciously or subconsciously. I think we talked about a wide variety of topics that it helped me definitely distract myself and definitely made me feel better about certain things. Those were just some like examples of like what things I would do in person. But let's talk about the PlayStation Party Chat, because that feature, honestly, there's so many late night conversations that happened over PlayStation Network Party Chat. And if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much when you set up your PlayStation 4 or 5 now currently, you go into the party and you just talk. You play a game, and that feature allows you to talk with the people you're playing with, whether they be your friends or whether you meet someone cool online and it's a stranger you don't really know. You just send them an invite like, hey, you want to join this chat? We could just shoot the shit. So many late night conversations happen through PS4 or PS5 Party Chat. And Xbox or whatever the fuck you call it, Xbox Party or whatever you call it, or Discord, whatever the PC nerds call it. But a lot of conversations happen through that with people that you can't necessarily meet up with and have conversations with in person. So we got everybody in the party chat, all of my boys in there. We're just talking about stuff. We're like talking about the actual like breakup of mine and how it happened, and like, trying to recognize how did we get here, right? Kind of trying to dissect it, which is, I don't really think it was necessarily the best thing to do, but we talked about it, and I felt so much better afterwards, after those sessions, because it happened quite frequently where we just had late night conversations, just vibed. Half the time we weren't even playing a game, right? We were just sitting there all in front of our TVs with our remotes connected to our headset, and we were just like sitting like this. Do I have a PS4 remote on me right now? I don't. But just think about, I'm grabbing a phone case. Just think about like this, and then your headphones connected to this thing, and you're just like talking, right? So those kind of things kind of made me feel very, very cared for in a way. I was like, wow, this means so much to me, and these people don't even know that. They don't know how much this means to me. This time that we spent, these 4 hours where we haven't been playing a game for 4 hours, and we're still fucking laughing. We're still like fucking around and having fun and having serious conversations, having non-serious conversations. But at the end of it all, I greatly appreciated that. So I want to say that breakup, as much as it hurt, right? As much as I thought it was going to hurt me for a long period of time, it didn't. And it didn't because I had my support group and I was able to do the things that I had talked about. And I took those 3 days and then I let it go. That's it, right? And I told my friend Malik, who lives downstairs, I was like, she wanted to be friends or whatever. And I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't want to be friends, clearly, but also I have to be my own friend. And so I chose me, and I stayed my own friend, and I became my best friend, my absolute best friend. And a little bit of my narcissistic traits come from that, where I'm like, damn. I was talking to somebody, and we were talking about the gym, and she was like that. She goes on the treadmill and she watches the show on the TV or on her phone or reads the subtitles, right? I'm like, nah, I turned the TV on the treadmill off so I could look at myself because I love myself. And so as much as I want to think that's a joke, but like I do though. I do stare at myself. I'm like, I'm doing great. I'm killing this shit right now. So at the end of it all, that's my story that I wanted to share with you. It wasn't necessarily the saddest story, right? Because of the group of people that I had around me. And, maybe we can kind of recreate that for people out there who have similar stories, but not the same results. So that was this week's Idle Talk. Nothing really crazy to share with you guys this week. But I'm hoping that it inspires people to share their stories and kind of get that strength within themselves to be accepting of a community, of a group of people that kind of want the same things as you. But remember, leave us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. They share the rating systems now. And follow us on TikTok, IdleTalk Pod, and Instagram @IdleTalk Pod. And I'll see you next week. Peace.